Hi guys. So normally I don't commentate while I drive, simply because it's too difficult for me. But because this is such a long video, I figured I would, add some commentary to it as to what's going on here. So this is the Gauntlet. It is grueling. It is painful, but it's also a lot of fun. So I'll just give some tips and pointers as to what I do as far as rallying goes in Forza Horizon 5. You'll see one of the main things I do. If you watch uh, my rev meter, I try to stay in the corners between 5,000 and 6,000 RPM, just because this is a turbo vehicle. And if you go below that, the turbo doesn't spool up high enough, so you're not going to get enough launch out of the corners. Um, Another thing is that I try to not necessarily turn before the turn, but anticipate the turn. And I'm not afraid to get my tail end out, because a lot of times if you let your tail end get out, it sets you up for the next turn. So that's pretty interesting, and generates this unique flow um, as you go along. Now, you may notice that a lot of these courses and a lot of these turns look very familiar to the other videos uploaded, and that's basically true. The Gauntlet is just one big uh, continuation of all the maps, all the rally courses, and then the roads that connect them. Um, Also important to note right here is transitions between surfaces can be daunting if you're not careful. You'll hear as I go across surface changes, I completely get off the throttle, like right there as well, because you don't want to upset the tires. The change in surface conditions can vastly upset the tires and send you careening off into a wall, and that's 100% not what we want. We want it to be a clean run. We want to get through it as quickly as possible, and hitting things it's not going to do it. These water sections can get a little frustrating as well. See, I have to downshift here, um, simply because the water is going to slow me down. I don't have enough clearance to get over it. Um, but it works out fine because this section requires fourth gear. So downshifting in that water section just makes it line up perfectly. And here's another transition into asphalt. So yeah, um, knowing your track and knowing the conditions helps 100% of the time. You cannot go wrong knowing the track and the conditions. Um, you'll start to notice, particularly in this section, I have off-road tires. And the off-road tires, I believe, are set to 15 psi. And because of that, at higher speeds and at sharp turns, I'm not going to have very much grip on asphalt. So I've got to take it very, very easy. Um, It'll become very evident later on in the track, but here soon, there's a lot of hairpins on asphalt, and it can get very tricky. And to be quite honest, I failed a lot of runs going through this on the hairpin asphalt turns, because one wrong move and you're going to tap a wall. We're going to transition back to dirt here, and see again off the throttle. And as soon as I hit the dirt, I know this section. I can go pretty much flat out. Even though it has brake lines here, I'm ignoring them. I'm going flat out. Um, all the way up into this turn here, I downshift and I'm transitioning back to asphalt, so completely off of the gas, back onto the gas in one smooth motion. Coming up here is my favorite turn in the game. It's a blind square left. And I'm going to come over the crest and back into the throttle. Pretty smooth, pretty simple. Gonna stay in fifth here. And again, a lot of these brake lines on dirt and gravel, I'm gonna ignore because I know my car and I know the line I'm taking. And that's just that. We're gonna transition back to asphalt here. Again, smooth off the gas, let your tires hit the asphalt, and then go. Yeah, I mentioned I know my car. So every car is different in this game. Every build is different. You could have a Ford Fiesta like mine and have it built out differently, and that's fine too, but know your car. Being able to make these transitions and ignore brake lines comes from practice, practice, practice. If you're not practicing with your car, you're not going to get the results that you want. And practicing with your car goes hand in hand with practicing with the course itself. So here's another transition back onto asphalt. I believe this is the high-speed asphalt section. So yeah, hopefully we can hit mid 170s on this section. I don't know if we're quite gonna. We do get there. Nice, almost 180. Pretty cool there. And then we're gonna have to slow back down. And then we got another straight section here with high speeds. Gonna go back up to 7th gear here. And this portion coming up right here is a little tricky because I got to get off the gas. And I can't get back into the gas too soon because, again, I'm on asphalt and I'm on dirt tires. So I'm not going to have the best grip in the world. And now we're going to transition back into a slower section here. And then we got a square right here. I'm going to have to get back down to 3rd. Yep. And then smooth on out. So it looks like we got a couple squares coming up here. We got a square right that transitions immediately into another square right. So just stick in 3rd. And as soon as I'm clear of that outside wall is when I gun it. Particularly on asphalt, talking back about them squares, is you really, if you're on dirt tires in this kind of build, you really want to be lined up straight before you really gun it. You can play with the throttle a little bit as you're making the turn, but don't really gun it until you're completely lined up and going straight. Another high-speed section, hit up to 7th gear that time again. Now coming up here is a very tricky turn because it's a lot of tight turns, quick succession there. Had to go down to 3rd again. Gonna gather up some speed here and get on up the hill. Up here is a bit of a, I don't want to say tricky, but it's weird because some of these turns almost feel like it's ripping the asphalt out from under you. So you got to be very cautious of that and get off the throttle for a brief second. Even though there's no brake line, I'm not taking a chance. I still get off the throttle. Even there, I get off the throttle. Just with a quick glance at the mini-map, there's some horrors coming up. We've got some real tight hairpins that I was talking about earlier coming up here. Yep, had to come down to 3rd. I'll stay in 3rd here. Don't want to get too much speed, but I do want to get through here fast because I'm going to have to come back down to 4th and probably 3rd here on this turn. No, I'll stay in 4th. Yeah, I should have downshifted there quicker because, yeah, I knew it when I hit the throttle. The sound was too low on the RPM, so I wasn't spooling up my turbo as much as I would like to get out of that corner, so I was a little slow coming out of there. Down to 3rd. Play with the throttle and then hit it as soon as you get out of the corner. One of the benefits for my eyes of playing with the throttle in long corners is you're constantly keeping power going through the engine, which is constantly spooling up the turbo, which means the throttle response coming out of the corner is going to be pretty decent. It's going to get you where you go. Whereas if you just go dead through a corner, your throttle response, specifically in a turbocharged vehicle, it's going to have a slight delay, and it'll cost you, we're talking just milliseconds, but in a, 36-mile course like the Gauntlet is, milliseconds each turn turns into seconds by the end of it. So it's just something you want to be aware of. Here's another long turn. See I'm playing with the throttle right there, and then as soon as I get straight away, I flat out. Again, playing with the throttle to keep that turbo spooled up, so I get immediate throttle response coming out of the corners. I get all 700 horsepower, which is kind of nutty for a Ford Fiesta. It's got 700 horsepower. Right there, I almost hit the wall. That could have been a run killer right there. I think we have one more potential run killer coming up, but I'll let that happen when it happens. Got another long series of turns. And it looks like the asphalt's turning into gravel, so I know coming up here soon, and yeah, here's the next almost run killer. Whew. Very close to that wall, and now we're completely off-road, which means I am so much more free to do what I want, and the car is going to respond exactly how I want it to. Except I'm going to brake right there for a millisecond, because if I don't, and I'm top of 6th gear coming over that hill, I'm flying right into that wall, and that's not what I want. But yeah, now I'm past that section, I'm just flat out, and I just get off the gas. I know it says brake on my brake line. I'm not going to brake till here. Keep my throttle going there. Get the back end around, and on dirt, I like to get the back end around because that gets me straight out of the corner faster. Here, I'm just off the gas, maneuver through there and back into the gas. Got another long turn here. I'm gonna go down to 3rd, and I'm just sitting on the throttle a tad. That's all it needs. Here's a big jump. Gonna downshift so that I'm in fourth, play with the throttle. Just really the idea there is to keep the speed. Don't lose any speed, don't try to gain any speed. Just keep your current speed level, and that's, in my opinion, the fastest way through there. Here's an odd little almost corkscrew into another turn here. Then we got another long in third. Again, a lot of these turns are saying for me to brake. And I really have played with the idea of turning off the brake lines, but at the same time, for dirt, it's telling me, you know, where the hard parts are going to be. So I can choose whether to brake or just to get off the gas. A lot of these, I'm just getting off the gas and steering and letting my car do the work. And here we've got a surprise almost double square right. Pretty nice. And again, braking there, but most of the other brake lines I'm just coasting through. Had to come all the way down to third here. Poor doggo. Hope he's all right. Coming down to third to square right here. We're going to square left here, and it's all sand instead of gravel here. Sand acts a lot like dirt in Forza 5, but the only difference that I've noticed is you slide a whole heck of a lot more in sand, so you got to just be a little bit more careful. Some of these brake lines I actually will take, solely because it's sand. If I was on just dirt, I probably wouldn't take these brake lines that are coming up here. But just because it's sand, I want to take it safe. See, there's a break there, and I come down to fifth from sixth. Braking here, too, to come down to fourth. This is a difficult turn because it's a square right there, but it's in sand this time. So my back end swings, but I don't want it to swing too much. It's another long turn, and you can hear the revs coming out of my engine, just slowly and constantly in those long turns. Don't let it die out. Coming up to the end of our off-road section, the last portion is on asphalt. Here I'm completely... All right, yeah, you hear the engine there? I was off the throttle for the most part, specifically when the sand met the asphalt, because I don't want to upset the tires too much. If I upset the tires, I'm sliding all the way into that outer wall, and that's, again, not what you want. You'll see here, I have a bit of trouble at high speeds on asphalt, and that's solely because of the build I've gone. I've gone basically pure off-road. So I make up all my time off-road, and then I live with the consequences on-road. But yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this run of the Gauntlet. If you'd like to see anything else, see any new series, see me run, you know, different skill levels. This is obviously an S1 class, but if you'd like to see me run any other skill levels, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.